What are we, less than 2.5 hours now until kick-off in the 2023 Carabao Cup final. I'm joined by Jamie Carragher. Jamie, thanks for joining us. Has this got for you the ingredients for a classic?
I think it has. I think it's two attacking teams, two of the most impressive teams I think we've seen in the Premier League this season. They don't lose often, both on decent runs in terms of defeats this season. I think it's 2-30. I think for Manchester United, Newcastle only lost twice all season in the Premier League. Unfortunately for them, that was one of the latest games against Liverpool. But yeah, I think it's got the makings of a great cup final. I think it will be. You
know more than most what this trophy can do as a platform for a player's career, for a club's future as well. This was your first trophy, of course, for Liverpool. What do you think it will do, given the two clubs that are involved in this final?
I think it's huge. I think for Newcastle, it's possibly bigger, because it's just been so long since the club have won a trophy. The here and now is about Eddie Howe and his team and what Newcastle can do over the next few years. But we shouldn't forget, Manchester United not won a trophy, I think, for 5 years. That's normally unheard of, really. So they need to get back to winning ways. And the manager that they've got now, the players that they've brought in, it looks like this could be the start of something special for them over the next 4 or 5 years, where they start getting back to what we associate Man United with, which is winning trophies. But you have to start somewhere. And this is a Carabao Cup final today.
One of the big storylines, of course, is the goalkeeper for Newcastle. No Nick Pope. Looks like it's going to be Loris Karius. It's been painted almost as his redemption, or Newcastle fans won't want to hear it, the opposite. How do you see it going?
I hope it goes well for him. And that's not because I'd like to see Newcastle win. I just think, from a human point of view, what the lads went through is not nice. You wouldn't want to wish that on anybody. The biggest game you can play in club football, the whole world's watching, and he had a nightmare game, and that could happen to any of us at any time, but it happened on the biggest stage for him. So it's another big stage today, and as I said, he hasn't played for a long time. I think that's a bigger problem, rather than looking back what happened a few years ago. So that would be the forefront of my mind if I was a Newcastle fan. But I hope it goes well for him from a personal point of view.
It's kind of dominated the other storyline as well for Newcastle, and that's Bruno Guimaraes is back. He adds so much to this team. Makes him a completely different proposition, doesn't he?
He does. You just look at Newcastle's record without him this season. I don't think they've won a game, so it shows how important he's been. And you think of the players that Newcastle have brought in under Eddie Howe, I would class a lot of them as good Premier League players who are doing a brilliant job right now. Guimaraes feels like the star. He feels like the sort of, that stardust that's been sprinkled on this team. And you can just see the difference he makes when he's in that team. So I'm really looking forward to him playing today. And whether Nick Pope being out or Bruno Guimaraes being out, which is more important, we'll see today. But I think most Newcastle fans will be delighted to see Guimaraes back.
Talking of stardust, Marcus Rashford, he's probably the last player Manchester United wanted to have a doubt over. But if he does play, I think we're expecting him to play. Is it a case of stop Rashford and you stop United, or is that too simplistic?
I think it's too simplistic. I think there's more to Manchester United than just Marcus Rashford, but he is probably the hottest player, certainly in the Premier League, maybe in Europe right now. Certainly since the World Cup, you can't think of too many players who are performing better week in, week out than Marcus Rashford. So, as I said, he's the man who gets the goals for them. The other players who may play up front, Weghorst, it might be Anthony, it might be Sancho, they just don't get those type of numbers that he gets. So, of course, you've got to keep an eye on him, but that's easier said than done. But we are talking about the Newcastle team. I think we've got the best defensive record in the Premier League. That is with normally Pope in goal, you must say. But, as I said, they are a tough nut to crack. Just
finally, it looks like it's on a knife edge. They look really evenly matched. How do you see it going?
I think Man United will win, just for the fact that they expect to win these type of games. They're used to being in this arena. I think they've got the edge in terms of the players on the pitch, but also what happens from the bench. I think Manchester United's record this season, from bringing players from the bench who can then score a goal or determine a game, I think will have a big factor. And I think Erik ten Hag, that's one of his big strengths, that he can change a game from the sideline. He's got more options than Eddie Howe.
Jamie Carragher, thank you very much indeed. So not long now until kick-off and coverage of the Carabao Cup final 2023 between Manchester United and Newcastle United gets underway on Sky Sports Football at 3 o'clock. I will leave you with the scene. The stage is set here at Wembley Stadium. Do not miss this one.